JJ Redick doesn't want to hear any more excuses from recently installed Milwaukee Bucks coach Doc Rivers. While appearing on ESPN one morning, Redick didn't shy away from harsh criticism of his former coach, who spoke during All-Star Weekend about the difficulties of coming in mid-season to take someone else's job. Rivers was hired in late January after the Bucks fired Adrian Griffin, and since then, Milwaukee has gone with quite the subpar record since then. Doc Rivers' media tour has been weird. That's the easiest way to frame his comments since taking over as the Bucks coach not too long ago. He said he wouldn't wish the job of coaching the number 2 seed Bucks at the time mid-season on anybody. After Milwaukee lost to Memphis right before the All-Star break, Doc said he had some guys playing as if they were already in Cabo with the way they played.
Just told us where we were at. Like the first play, we gamble for the 50th time in the corner. Guy drives. We have to help. We come back in this on our set. 2 guys forget what we're running. Then we miss the shot, and then nobody gets back. That's how we start out the third quarter. That tells you all you need to know about where our heads were. We had some guys here, we had some guys in Cabo.
During the All-Star Weekend, the 2008 NBA champion said he wanted to wait until after the All-Star break to start coaching the Bucks, because they'd had him begin during the toughest road trip of the season. Then Doc had this curious soundbite on NBA radio, which kind of threw Bucks ownership under the bus.
Personally, I'll be honest, I told our owners when they called, I said, I don't understand why you're doing this, and they said, one of the things they said was, well, it doesn't matter, we've done it now, and we want you, and so that was a tough one. That's where you had the hesitation.
Clearly, poor Doc Rivers has been kidnapped by the Bucks and forced to coach the team for a measly $40 million. Oh my God, how is he going to survive on that? Honestly, Adam Silver must step in here. It's either that or Doc continues to try to control the narrative. Look like the guy with the firing of Adrian Griffin despite taking his job, and set expectations very low for the Bucks' 2024 title chances. Rivers said that taking over the Bucks job has been probably more difficult than I thought. But Redick was fed up with hearing the excuses.
I've seen the trend now. I've seen the trend for years.
What's the trend?
The trend is always making excuses. Doc, we get it. Taking over a team in the middle of the season is hard. It's hard. We get it. Just like getting traded in the middle of the season is hard for a player. We get it. But it's always an excuse. It's always throwing your team under the bus.
Redick also took issue with Rivers' comments following Milwaukee's loss to the Memphis Grizzlies in their final game before the All-Star break. The Bucks lost to a Grizzlies team that didn't play any starters or significant role players, while Giannis Antetokounmpo, Damian Lillard, and the rest of Milwaukee's rotation played heavy minutes.
They lose to Memphis. Oh, it's his players' fault. Memphis was playing G League guys and two-way guys.
Redick ended his rant by calling out Rivers' comments after he said the Clippers consulted him before making the blockbuster trade that landed them James Harden from the Philadelphia 76ers.
And you look at his quotes over the weekend, now he wants to take credit for the James Harden trade to the Clippers working out. He wants credit for that. There's never accountability with that guy.
Here's the thing. Redick is correct. Doc often throws his players or team under the bus. There's always an excuse. The Celtics lost because they weren't healthy. The Sixers lost because of Ben Simmons. Whatever it is, Doc Rivers always has an excuse. Redick played under Rivers for 4 years when they were both with the Los Angeles Clippers, so there's a personal history of knowing how he is as a coach. And from the sounds of it, Redick clearly has strong opinions about how Rivers, as he views it, doesn't take accountability when his team doesn't live up to expectations. That drew the attention of another player who had first-hand experience with Rivers. Patrick Beverley went on X and asserted the 62-year-old saved Redick's career during the 2013 offseason. Redick landed with the Clippers in a 3-team trade headlined by Eric Bledsoe that summer and promptly signed a 4-year contract with Los Angeles. He responded to Beverley by saying that he had an equally attractive offer on the table at the time, to which Beverley replied. Now, JJ Redick had a productive 15-year career in the NBA. The sharpshooting guard was one of the league's deadliest threats beyond the arc, hitting three-pointers at a 41.5% clip. With that sort of production, it's little surprise why Redick was able to last as long as he did in the league. Redick was a good player for much of his career. When he arrived in the City of Angels, though, he was given a new label: starter. The former Duke man was productive alongside Paul, Griffin, and Jordan, averaging 15.8 points per game in 266 games, 265 starts with Los Angeles. He had a series of skills that complemented LA's play style under Rivers well. For starters, Redick was a weapon off of screens, perfecting a one-dribble jumper after receiving quick picks from the likes of Griffin and Jordan. He also ranked as one of the game's most effective shooters off the catch. With Griffin and Jordan roaming through the paint, that opened up Redick's ability to spot up. Redick was not infallible. His meager physical skills and lack of foot speed could rear its ugly head on defense, as Austin Rivers noted. Although he was a net positive offensive player, he never came around to developing a consistent game inside the paint. Nevertheless, Redick found success under Rivers' tutelage. The Clippers didn't, however, at least not in the sense of earning hardware. Redick's time in the sun was defined by premature postseason exits, 2 first-round losses and 2 second-round losses. The reason why? Well, if you ask Redick, it seems it boiled down to the lack of team chemistry that existed across the roster.
You know, I've said this a million times. Later on in my Clippers run, there was a sense of pettiness, and we weren't necessarily happy for each other's success. And I think that happens.
Rivers agreed during an NBA Today appearance last season, much to Redick's dismay.
Not trying to take anything away from that team. That team was never going to win. When you look back at it, we just didn't get along well enough as a group. And you can't win without cooperation. That's the only way you can win.
Still, in red and blue, Redick was good. And although his relationship with Rivers may have frayed slightly in the years since, he'll always have that. Austin Rivers, Doc's son, struck a similar tone Tuesday on NBA Today. He said Redick's best years were with the Clippers, so the criticism was ironic and kinda weird.
I mean, first off, I don't feel responsible to take off for my dad. He's a grown man, he could do his own thing. But in this regard, I just simply don't agree with it. For someone who's not accountable, he seems to always be held responsible, considering he's the guy that's always fired when things don't go right. It's strange coming from JJ. And I have love for JJ. You're my dookie, you know that, you're my bro. I love you. It's just your best years were with the Clippers. I don't think he saved your career. I appreciate you, Pat, but I don't think this just seems a little bit weird.
Austin Rivers then provided reasons for the Milwaukee Bucks' recent struggles under Doc Rivers, mentioning the absence of key players.
They're 3-7. Dame has missed most of those games. Middleton's missed a lot of those games. They haven't even had their full team yet. We'll see what happens. The pressure is there. They do have to perform. But in terms of accountability, like, what are we doing here? Your best years in the NBA were when you played for him in the Clippers. Let's not forget that. I don't know if there's frustration there or there's tension there between you. I know a lot of times we had to sit you towards the end of the game due to defensive reasons, but you had your best years as a starter there, especially our whole system was drafted around you because you're a shooter. You're not a guy who can put the ball on the floor. You were a strictly shoot guy. You're not like Klay Thompson or Steph who can put the ball on the floor. You were a guy who could catch and shoot, and you did it at a high level. Hell of a career, by the way. Big fan. But your best years were under him. It's just very ironic and kind of weird that you have this energy towards him.
The back and forth illustrates the difficult balance former athletes can face when they embark on a media career. They're expected to maintain some level of objectivity, and that can occasionally mean offering what are tough critiques about a one-time coach or colleague. Ultimately, it's not Redick's job to be loyal to Rivers now that he's working for ESPN. Despite the slow start to Rivers' tenure in Milwaukee, there's still time for him and the Bucks to turn things around. They are third in the Eastern Conference, but there will be a ton of pressure for him and this roster to make a deep run in the playoffs. After making 3 major moves and trading for Lillard, firing Mike Budenholzer to hire Griffin, and now pivoting to Rivers midseason, all eyes are on Milwaukee to see if this complicated situation will work. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Drop a like and subscribe to our channel for more NBA stories.